Welcome to Gene and Mike do the New York Times crossword.
Hi, I'm Jean.
And I'm Mike. And today we are doing the crossword for Wednesday, March 19th, 2025. So, did you do the crossword?
I did do the crossword.
And were you blown away by it?
I was blown away by it.
Were you really?
Yeah, I thought it was a great puzzle.
Oh, okay.
What do you think?
I had a whole lot of trouble in the top left corner because I didn't understand what was happening in the top left corner until finally I looked at the grid sort of overall and I thought, oh, wait. And the light dawned.
Very good.
And the light dawned from a star.
I didn't figure out what was happening, or no light dawned on me until I got to the lower right corner. So that it was sort of pointless by that point. So.
Well, I did love this. I mean, it was an absolutely ingenious theme.
Yeah, very clever. Very clever.
So we shouldn't keep our listeners in suspense. Why don't you talk about it?
Okay. Well, the first thing that was interesting about this puzzle, it was not symmetrical. And I thought, oh, that's different. So,
well, apparently it had a symmetry. It's called diagonal symmetry.
Yeah, it is diagonal symmetry, but it's usually not. That's not usually the kind of symmetry that we see in crossword puzzles. They're usually symmetrical, on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, there were many circled squares in this puzzle. And if you looked from the top left to the bottom right, you could see that they kind of dispersed. You had one in the top left corner, and then you had four kind of catty-cornered below it, right next to each other. And then you had four more split apart by one square. And then you had, in the very bottom, four more that had two squares between each of the circled letters.
Mm-hmm.
So the first one, where there was just the one circled square by itself in the upper left corner, it was a rebus.
Yes.
And the circled square was right in the middle of 16 across, which was placed to take a break. And the answer was rest area. And the ST and the AR, the ST of rest and the AR of area, were in the circled square. They were the rebus. And of course, STAR spells star. And then as you moved more down to the circled squares that were right next to each other in a little four square pattern, we see that 23 across had the top two circled squares, and the answer there was credit for a hockey player, and that was assist. Mm-hmm. And the ST were in the top two circles, and then right underneath those, in 27 across, that really stinks, was the answer was darn, and the AR were in the circled square. So you had ST on the top and AR on the bottom, and again that spells star. Mm-hmm. Then as we move farther diagonally down the puzzle, where we have the four circled squares with one square in between each one, the first top two were in 40 across, which was, you're sure about that? And that answer was, is it? And the S and the T of is it were circled. And then going two down to 49 across, showed as a program, and that was aired. And the A and the R of aired, AIRED, were circled. So once again, we have STAR, star, in the circles. And as you can probably guess, the last four circles had STR in them as well. In 58 across, we had what might keep you up at night, which was a great clue, I thought, because the answer was bed slat.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And the S and the T of slat were circled. And then the very last across clue, 67 across, stun gun, which was taser, the A and the R were circled. So once again, we had STAR. So the word star went from one circled square in a rebus to four four squares right next to each other, to four squares with one square dividing them, to four squares with two squares dividing them. So it just got larger and larger and larger as you went down the puzzle diagonally. And the revealer for all this was 59 across, astronomical event depicted visually in this puzzle. And the answer to that was supernova.
Yes.
When a star explodes, right? That's a supernova.
That's a supernova.
And that's what they have depicted here, going from one square to essentially 16 squares in the bottom corner of a star, getting larger and larger until it explodes. So very, very clever.
Yes, indeed. Now, there was also sort of a sub-revealer 10 down, chewy fruit flavored candy, or a description of what's depicted visually in this puzzle, and it was starburst.
That's true, too, yes.
So they sort of worked it in a couple of areas.
And it was definitely a star bursting, because you had star in one square and then star all the way down to 16 squares. Bursting. Yep.
So when I started this and was having trouble, especially as I mentioned in the top left corner, for 16 across, the place to take a break, I went for Oasis.
Oh.
Because it was 5 letters long, and I sort of held on to that for a while, and then just didn't know what to do there. Two down, broods. At first, I thought it was mopes, and then I think I went for sulks, and then eventually somehow got to frets. It didn't help that for one across, the big acronym in insurance, I thought Geico. Isn't that an insurance company?
Yes.
And then I thought Aetna.
I put it Aetna.
Really?
But I don't know that that's really an acronym.
Yeah, I was just trying to think of names of insurance companies.
Exactly.
And I couldn't get State Farm to fit. But it turned out to be Aflac.
Aflac. So that must be an acronym for something.
Isn't that an actor, Ben Affleck?
No.
Are you sure?
I don't think so.
I think there's an actor called Ben Affleck. Or maybe it's Affleck?
A fleck.
Oh, you do know the name.
Yes, of course.
I didn't. I thought that perhaps maybe Ben should be the spokesperson for Affleck. Hello, I'm Ben.
I bet he's been approached by it.
Right. Ask, could you please just slightly change your name? We will make it worth your while. Let's see, what else was interesting here? 27 across, that really stinks. It was 4 letters, and so I thought it was going to be odor.
Oh, well, that would be appropriate.
But it was darn.
Darn. Yes.
I guess that made more sense. And then
I can see odor.
You can? Oh, my goodness. And then with 40 across, you sure about that? And it was, is it? I keep thinking of the John Cleese recitation of the word is it, and you'd go, is it? Just with this incredible British anger and precision in one sentence. Is it?
Is it?
Yes. And so I read it like that, but it didn't have to be. You sure about that? Is it? And you're right, that bed slat was absolutely brilliant. One other sort of astronomy-related themed answer, 46 down, the 2019 sci-fi film whose name means to the stars, and that was ADASTRA.
Oh, yes.
So, yeah, we had quite a few interesting star-related clues.
Yes.
We had 47 across, most populous inland city of California. So I thought, all right, it's Los Angeles. Nope, doesn't fit. Then I thought San Luis Obispo, because I was so proud of the fact that I could remember the name of that city. It didn't fit. I mean, it only had 6 letters. Then I thought Cupertino. Then I thought Mountain View, and I did not think about the right answer until I got it through the crosses. Fresno.
Fresno, yes.
So I always thought Fresno was sort of slang or an abbreviation for San Francisco.
No.
Maybe that's Frisco. That's Frisco.
Two separate municipalities.
But there is Frisco, right? You call San Francisco, you might call it Frisco?
You might call it Frisco, I suppose.
Or if you mispronounce
I've
it...
I've never heard anyone call it that, but...
You might call it Fresno. Oh, you haven't heard of, what was that song? Cats in the Cradle? It was raining hard in Frisco. You don't know that by Harry Chapin?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It is a classic, right? It's right up there with the Canadian national anthem. And so, anywho, Let's see. I found 4 down interesting. 4 down was schooner or possibly schooner. It's
Schooner.
It's schooner.
Yes.
I guess schooner
I
makes.
believe that is schooner.
I mean, it looks like the word school. They don't say shul.
No.
So schooner filler.
It's a tool.
And the schooner filler was ale.
Yes.
I thought a schooner was a boat.
Well, it's that too.
And so I had air, A-I-R, because the sails would be filled with air.
I don't know if a schooner has sails. Maybe it does. But...
I think it does.
Oh, okay.
Certainly in my imagination it does. And then it turned out to be ale. And I thought, well, maybe they just fill the ship with ale. I don't know. It turns out it's a glass.
Yes, it is.
You knew that?
I knew that.
Oh, that would have been handy to know. It would have set paid to the rumors of Aetna and Geico.
Uh-huh.
We've got 15 down. Entrepreneur Kevin of Shark Tank was O'Leary.
Yes.
Did you know O'Leary?
No, I did not.
Oh, okay. I didn't either.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised you didn't know O'Leary, because that sounds like pop culture.
Well,
That's your forte.
I never watched that show.
Oh, okay.
So I just I can kind of picture him because you see little snippets on social media, but I can't. I don't know all of the players in that reality show. Mm-hmm. So I thought 34 down was interesting, and I wondered if it was a debut. Give us something that extra oomph. Make it pop.
Yes.
Is that a debut?
That was indeed a debut.
Yes.
The one and only debut in this puzzle.
Really?
Yeah, usually there's more, at least, there's several. Of course, some of them that will come from the themed answers. And since these themed answers were sort of distributed, they didn't really count. So, so yes, Make It Pop was the only debut.
Interesting. Oh.
Perhaps maybe that was part of the price to pay for making this have diagonal symmetry.
Could be.
We had 54 down. Brother in the Lemony Snicket books, Klaus.
Klaus, yes.
I could not remember that.
Oh,
Got it through the crosses.
Mm-hmm.
And we had 5 down. I thought that was interesting. The best of the best, Class A.
Class A, I thought that was an interesting answer, too.
I've heard of grade A, like grade A eggs, but I've never heard of Class A. I thought
no, there's Class A. I've heard of that.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Right.
See, I thought it was sort of fake snobbery around the word classy. Oh, that's very Class A.
No.
No?
So.
All right. So much for that theory.
Mm-hmm. In fact, when I was in school, we had 2 different grades for each, 2 different rooms and 2 different teachers for each grade. And one would be like grade 1A and one would be grade 1B. And the idea was that the really good students got into the 1A class and the not so good students got into the 1B. And there was never any proof of that, but those who were in the A class like to, sort of lord that over people, like, I'm in 1A.
Well,
I'm in 5A. No, I'm in 5B.
I have to ask, which class were you in?
I was in the A class.
Well, there you go.
Course.
Question settled.
So, anyway.
I like how subtle they were about that.
Yeah, I know.
I'm glad they didn't call it the class stupid and the class smart.
Yeah, it would be class SM versus
No,
class SP.
actually, it would have been funny if they went for class S for smart and class S for stupid. And the person who thought of that was in the class S class, if you know what I mean.
So, yep. So
57 down. Star Trek character who was named for a sea in the Philippines, Sulu.
I thought it has to be Sulu, but I wasn't really sure.
Yeah, it wasn't going to be Kirk.
No, or Spock.
And then 57 across, common eye ailment. It was starting with an S, so I thought, it's got to be sty. but
Oh.
I needed more letters.
It's usually stop.
Yes.
But yes, not today.
Today it was strain.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So they should call that an uncommon eye ailment or an uncommonly seen eye ailment.
At least in the New York Times crossword.
Yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And do you believe 62 across, sound of a raindrop is plop?
Yep.
Really?
Oh, yes.
I think it's plip. I've listened very carefully to a lot of raindrops, and they always go plip.
Flip.
Sometimes they go plop, but most of the time it's plip.
I see.
Feel free to contradict me.
No,
Okay.
I believe you.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
52 down, which I think you might have been tempted to utter just after that last sentence. Haughty sound, snort.
Snort, yes. I thought that was a very interesting answer.
I didn't think that was haughty. I just thought they were trying to control their laughter or something
Yes,
and couldn't handle it.
Yeah, some people snort when they laugh, but I don't think of that as being haughty.
Right.
I think of it as being kind of embarrassing, really. But that's just the way they laugh.
Or they could be falling asleep at the same time as they're
Well,
laughing.
It could be, yes, I suppose.
What if they could have like a short snort?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, let's see. We were talking about 46 down, that movie ADASTRA.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking that was actually a very good movie. It had
Was it?
Brad Pitt in it.
Oh,
And I mean, it was a science fiction movie, so I'm going to like it no matter how bad it is. But I thought it was pretty good.
well, good.
8 down. 8 down was article of headgear informally, and that was a lid.
That's correct.
You know, we've seen that multiple times, and I just have never, ever heard anyone refer to a hat as a lid.
No, I haven't either.
Hey, nice lid.
But that is supposedly slang for hat.
It sounds.
I've heard that so many times.
It sounds
that's
British.
slang for hat.
Sounds very British.
Could be, yes.
The one next to it, secure, 9 down, secure as a onesie fastener, was a snap-in.
Right.
I was surprised by the in part.
Yes, me too.
I
had snap on.
I think I had snap it at one point because I needed the I for 25 across, place to sift crime evidence for short, FBI lab.
Right.
Did you want to go for CSI anything at some point?
I did. No, I wanted to go for DNA.
Oh.
25 across, yeah. DNA lab.
Hmm.
But no, it was FBI lab.
Good
Yes.
call.
Mm-hmm.
And then 18 down, the karate awards were belts.
Yes, I knew that.
I didn't really realize that they were awards. I thought they were just belts.
Well, you have to achieve something in order to get a different color belt, right?
Sure.
So they're awards.
Okay. All right, if you say so.
I say so.
6 down, org concerned with plants. OSHA.
Yep,
That was cute.
that was. Mm-hmm.
So all in all, this was a very nice crossword.
Very nice. I enjoyed it a lot.
A debut for Evan Park,
Oh, wow.
and the 10th crossword by Jeffrey Martinovich,
Oh, how
who
interesting.
we have definitely talked about and seen previously.
Uh-huh. We have had a lot of collaborative puzzles lately,
Right.
and they've been excellent.
Mhm.
So I guess maybe two heads are better than one.
I would think when it comes to crosswords, certainly maybe one person's better at making the grid work, and then maybe the other person can make it pop, so to speak, when it comes to the clues.
I don't know, but this was a brilliant puzzle. I liked it a lot.
I'm trying to think what I would be best at when it comes to doing crosswords. I think filling in the black squares. I
Oh.
think that would be my forte.
I was going to say making the clues. I thought you'd be better at that.
Really?
Mhm.
I certainly couldn't do the grid. Otherwise, I'd have like 10 published already. But they'd have to allow me to have a very irregularly shaped grid. I wonder if they've ever done a grid that's shaped like a schooner, right? You have the bow, you have the mast, and so forth.
I'm sure they
I think
some unusually shaped puzzles.
Can you think of any other than a something that's maybe 16 by 14 or something like that?
Not off the top of my head. No.
Nope. Well, I think it's time that Will embraced the unusual shape and commissioned me to create the grid.
Uh-huh.
I'm ready. Send me in, Coach.
Okay.
Or send us in. I think we would do it better as a team, collaboratively.
Perhaps, yes.
Well, that is it for today then.
Okay.
So thanks everyone for listening.
Yep.
Remember, you can always get a hold of us, crosswordpodcast at icloud.com. We will be back again with our in-depth, cutting-edge analysis of tomorrow's crossword tomorrow.
Bye-bye.